Welcome to these sci-fi guys. That's what we are. Just a bunch of guys that get together and we talk about science fiction, some of our favorite movies that we're watching or have watched in the past. And with me today is Chad and John. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Anyway, all right. So today, Chad.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, there you go. Now you're unmuted. Okay. Uh, each week, a different one of us chooses which. Which movie we're going to go ahead and pick. And this week was Chad. So, Chad, or actually, if you guys didn't see at the beginning, the name of the movie is Dun 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 Interstellar. That's what we're watching today. All right, so Chad, go ahead and start with your first question you wanted to ask us.
Well, we're doing Interstellar, like, but let's see here. What was the main message of the movie?
Main
So,
message of the movie? Okay,
hmm
well, okay. Well, honestly, I got lost on this movie a lot. I really did. There was some things that I couldn't wrap my head around. Um, Visually, I thought the movie was fantastic. It really was. I mean, there was some, especially when they were on the planet and just some of the scenes that they were doing. But if you're the only thing I can figure out for the movie was your love for your children is the most important thing. However, if that were the case, Cooper was a terrible father. I'll just say it right there. He was horrible. One, I don't even remember what the boy's name was. I mean, I think it was Tom. I can't tell you. I can tell you who Murph is because we
yeah,
heard Murph's name a
a
lot.
lot.
Everything was about Murph. Murph was, to do this. I got to get back to Murph. We got to get back to Murph. But I didn't hear too much about his son. Um, Okay, Murph is a smart girl. She ended up figuring it out because her dad gave her the information, which I'm sure we'll get into later. You know, I mean, and I'm just going to go ahead and jump to the spoilers at the end. All right. So he gets back. He sees Murph, who is ancient, sees her for 5 minutes and says, "Oh, hey, Murph, it's good to see you. I love you. I'm glad you saved the world. Now I'm going to go leave and find Brand." John, what did you think? What was your answer to that? The main message.
I mean, generally, my main takeaway, to me, the main message is kind of that humanity survives no matter what, still. That's tends to be very prevalent towards all of sci fi. I can kind of see that dig towards parenting in general as well. But to me, the main message appeared to be more of humanity will survive, kind of that old Hank Jr., country boys will survive, but it's just humanity will survive. Because film is just, we're going to keep kicking. We're going to find the next thing. Even if, you know, plan A was this, then we still have plan B. We're going to do whatever we can. And it just seems the whole film is just we're going to keep kicking, kicking, kicking.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the main message is humanity is going to be surviving, and also you got to think it was so leading to I think Dave was almost leading into one of the other questions I was asking because if you see in the movie, it was they got the guy was saying you got two plans, plan A, plan B. A, take find a livable space for all the humanity to go to, or plan B, take a lot of cryogenic eggs and start over. So, what would you done if you found out that the plan A was a lie?
I mean, for me, generally, I don't. That would be a tough one to swallow if we are trying to survive as humanity, and you find out that one of the two plans we had is just completely wrecked. Um, I think that would be a tough pill to swallow, but at the same time, it might be a good motivator in that moment. I would love to think that it were to make plan B works and plan A out the window. but at the same time, I mean, it'd be kind of hard to forgive and forget that one when all of humanity is at stake. So, I mean, it would definitely be tough to find out that Plan A is a lie, especially when the ramifications are so large. But at the end of the day, if neither plan works, everyone dies. I mean, you're dead too. So, I don't
Yeah.
know how much that would play into my own survival instincts. So,
Yeah, and I kind of thought of it a different way. First of all, by the time in the movie he thought he found out about Plan A, with that he was a lie, he had already been to that time dilation planet, so he had already lost what 10, 20 years
Hmm.
already at that point. So he knew if he was to get back, that his teenager would now be close to 30. I don't know. I mean, yes, I would try everything I could to get back. I mean, if you've got a family, you want to take care of your family, but at the same time, it's what everyone in sci-fi thought talks about is, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. I mean, that's kind of what I mean. I know it's the opposite of how Star Trek portrays it. Whenever when Spock is dying, and he says the the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many. But if you think about it, you know, you knew Plan A was a lie, and you have all these. Uh, what'd you call them, Chad?
Cryogenics, so is this the
Yeah,
eggs?
the eggs. Thank you. I just couldn't remember what they were called there. Thank you. I think at that point, I would have to think about humanity as a whole and go ahead and start the process of thawing them out and repopulating the human species. So, you know, and to put it all on, a little bow on top of it, I don't think I would have gone on the mission in the first place, regardless, because I wouldn't have left my wife and my kids in the first place. I was even though I've seen this movie before, I kept wanting this. I kept saying, "Take Murph with you. Take Murph with you." If you think so much about her and everybody else, have them take your kids with you. But that's not what they went with.
No. See, that's the thing is when I get it, you got to tell, hey, you got a plan A, plan B, and give all hope on plan A for somebody to go that will at least they get to see the kid again. I get it. That's where you go. But if I found out it was a plan A, I'm like, man, you know what? They just lied to me. But he did everything he could to leave, even towards when where they was going back, trying to go back to the hole. He left Brand behind and pushed forward, trying to get to find Murph. So that leads. So beginning of the movie, you hear Murph talking about there's a ghost in her room. So could you tell who the ghost was in the beginning, and then was you surprised when you found out who it was?
I wasn't surprised when I found out who it was, just because um, the movie was kind of predictable. I guess you could say. At least that's how I thought of it. And I kind of expected something, someone that she knew or something. I wasn't at first. I wasn't sure if it was going to be the father or if it was going to be, a future version of herself going back to telling her all this information um, as the ghost. But I had a feeling it was somebody that she knew, but I wasn't sure it was going to be Cooper.
Yeah.
I think I'm on that same front too. In terms of, I could definitely tell there was going to be some in the words of Doctor Who, timey wimey stuff. There was going to be some tomfoolery going on with time. The dad wasn't necessarily a huge surprise, but you could tell it was somebody. It wasn't just a random occurrence for sure, and it wasn't what he originally was like. Ah, nah, it's just things happening. Ghosts aren't real. That um, you could definitely tell there was more at play. It's just what exactly that was kind of harder to pick up on until later on in the film.
Yeah. See, I love it how gets later on in the film, he's in there trying to tell his daughter who he was. They're trying to say, tell me to stay, stay. And thing is, I figured out it didn't surprise me like, hey, but it was more neat how he was trying to communicate. He knew that Murph could find figure the code out, and which she did. Especially, I love how he was doing a sandstorm, and also figured out it was gravity. So that was neat. So with that, like, was there anything that would y'all change about the movie?
I almost feel like that's
I'm a
a loaded question there.
well, I think we've already talked about that a little bit. I mean, I'm not sure I would have made it. you know, I know you guys both probably enjoyed it a lot more than I did. I know Christopher Nolan, he directed this movie, and I even know it won like an Academy Award or something. But I just I kind of got tired of the same views. Um, like for example, whenever they were on, where's my notes there? The ship, um, not the one that was spinning around, but the actual, not the lander, but the other one, the Discovery, I think it was called.
Yeah,
Yeah, you always saw the same view, the ship here, and then the camera was always right here on the side. Once in a while you'd see it from behind, but that's only when it was landing. I was like, okay, make some different stuff. You know, uh, just some different views to me. I thought that would have been cool. Um, let's see here. I absolutely loved Case and Tards. I thought they were cool. The robots, those two guys, and I mean the other one was taken apart. He really didn't
yeah.
have much. I mean, they look like a walking ATM machine. That's able to come apart and become a transformer and run around and do stuff. I thought they were the coolest part of the whole movie. I did think I would probably change the ending. Um, in that some way he would be able to get back to Murph as and his other son when they're younger, instead of, okay, I get back, I see her for a few minutes, and then she dies, basically. So I think that's kind of how I would do it. It is funny that we had talked about in our last pod, we had talked about who could replace Sandra Bullock in Gravity, and who was the one I said? Anna Hathaway. And who's in this movie? Anna Hathaway. I just thought that was kind of a coincidence. But I mean, that's to me. Oh, and here's one other thing. One other thing I would change:
Take it.
Matt Damon should not have been the wonderful doctor, because I mean he was just too young. I'm sorry. I mean he wasn't much older than I think it could have been more believable if they would have had like a Morgan Freeman or somebody just a little bit older, that had a little bit more charisma to them. That's just my opinion. John, how about you?
I mean, for me, part of the biggest pieces I would change, um, the pacing for it to be a 3-hour film still seemed quick in some ways and too slow in others. It's just like the story would pick up and then fall off in ways that it shouldn't. And in terms of the way a lot of the science goes, it was real odd because sometimes it seemed like and we're on the leading edge, accurate with information, and then at times it was like they would take all that information and just kind of chunk it out the window. Um, I had all these great moments, were really accurate, and now we're just going to tell our story. It would have been nice to just kind of kept that train rolling in my book, because they had several moments that are, at least with what we know about science, are very accurate, and I think it would have been nice to see some of that carry on. So that's one of the things I would have changed. I definitely agree that they took great care of the visual landscaping. They also could have done a lot of different elements that would have showcased that a little bit more. That would have been very neat to see. Overall, I think I agree. I would change the ending. would be more time in the, I guess would be the epilogue. Yes, um, I think it would have been to see a little bit more epilogue to the film as well. So overall, that's kind of what it comes down to for me is adjusting some of the pacing, fixing some of the slower while maybe slowing down some of the quicker. It's just there were certain moments to me that just didn't match up on that end. The ending, and then just adding more to that visual landscape. I mean, they had such a beautiful picture that I think they could have continued on in different ways.
Do you think it would have been cool if they would have ended it with him being stuck in that 5-dimensional bookcase and just be stuck there the whole time? And that's just how they end it. That him there, and he can't do anything about it. All he does is
I
he
don't
gets
think
to
that would have been a
relive.
terrible.
No, I don't think it would be terrible.
I don't think that
But
would
the
have been
thing
a
is,
terrible ending at all.
see, it's
How about you,
another thing.
Chad?
I with the yeah, but you got to think with Matt Damon, his role and the character he was playing, it was Anna Hathaway. I think that's the one that she was trying to get to the most. It was Professor Man. That's what he's.
No, she was trying to get to somebody else. She was trying to get to the other professor.
Yeah, it was.
Not man, it was the other one. That was the one that she had a relationship with or something.
Yeah, she was always pushing for that one. But the thing is, it would have loved to with Damon. He was a good protagonist with, hey, I got to do this. He was dead on the mission. Hey, we got to have this humanity missions. You can't think about people on Earth. They'd gone now. So, the thing with that said, would you done the same thing that man Damon did in that movie and try to say and get back to their the spaceship?
I'm not sure I could say I wouldn't at that point. I mean, depends on. I think I would have to do a calculation to see how far Earth was gone at this point. How, I mean, from the time dilation and just being there, and then going through a black hole and what it's all done. You know, but he even said his planet was dead. So um, I'm not sure I would do it, but at the same time, I would have to really think about it, and I would get everybody else's opinion on it too, and not just say, hey, I want to go back and see my kid. Again, I would go back and I wouldn't have gone in the first place. So, uh, but you know, if I would have been on the mission, I think in the first place, I think I would have known it would have been a one-way mission. I think I would have planned that ahead and said my goodbyes and said, look, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for humanity. I'm going to try my darndest to come back, but this may be it. And go into it with open eyes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
See,
I
the
could see
thing is,
myself following more of the Dr. Man road for like locking myself up, freezing myself up, and calling it a day at the end. I mean, if humanity was lost, I mean, there's no reason to keep spinning isolation on that planet. Just call it a day. Ultimately, I think I would have stuck more, not with I'm going to make sure somebody comes rescues me and then try to steal ship. I think I'd be more, well, I'm just going to freeze myself because that seems like the easiest way on that one. Um, I think that would just be, I guess, the more heroic move. I think I would prefer that one over, yeah, let's risk the entire mission for just me when I've already, like, at that point, I've already carried on far enough. I know I'm kind of isolated. Like, what's the point? Why drag other people into that?
Yeah, I mean, you think he would have had some kind of recording or a note on the outside of his thing saying, "Yeah, there's nothing here. If you want to revive me, you're just going to kill me or something." And you would think with somebody that was that intelligent, who has obviously done all the done all the stuff that he had done.
right there.
Was a pilot. He was able to do all this other stuff. Don't you think he would have known exactly? Hey, I cannot open this airlock when these two are not connected. You know, I don't know. I just kind of keep going back to that. It's like, oh, come on. You know better. You've done this. I mean, I don't know how many times, at least in a simulator, I'm sure. Any other questions you got for us, Chad?
Nah, that was about it. We other other than with like, did you see here? Beginning of the movie, it's almost filmed like it was like a documentary talking about talking about the who Cooper was and what they had to go through. So, could you tell what y'all think about that that style of filming?
Okay, yeah. I really wasn't sure what they were talking about. I know there when they kept talking about the dust and everything being all over the plate and places, and how they'd have their plates upside down, just so they wouldn't have to rewash everything every time. Um, I kind of figured that was somebody going looking back at it and talking about, what had already happened, kind of like a prologue or something. But I wasn't exactly sure where they were going with it. John, what do you think?
I mean, I like the idea of the style, and it's definitely a very artistic choice. I think that they could have carried a little more. I mean, if you're gonna make it at the beginning, you're right. It did feel more like, oh, well, here's the prologue, and then they just kind of rolled into the story. I do like the idea of that transition, um, but it could have been cool to kind of see a different side of that in terms of the film as a whole. I mean, they definitely tried to go the more realistic, perspective on it throughout the film, but I mean, the opening, yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought so too.
I think they transitioned it very well from the beginning, and then when he went and found Murph and how his house was almost like a museum for him, like the because Murph built his house for him, knowing that maybe he'll be returning back there. So I
I
think,
did think it was kind of funny when he was like, "You told them I like farming." When he was a pilot, he loved airplanes, he loved spaceships and all that. He did not like a farming. He just was doing it because the world needed food. So anyway, that's our questions and answers for this week. Our next time, we are going to do a movie that of my choosing. It's one of my favorites that had growing up, and as you can tell by my gray hair, I'm a little bit older than these other two guys. So we're going back to the 1980s, 1982, as a matter of fact, and we are going to watch. Let's see if I can put up full screen. There you go. We're going to go back and watch the original Tron.
ooh,
It's about a computer programmer who gets sucked into uh, the computer world, and as a user, and then Tron is a local independent program that's in there. Anyway, so this was done way back in 1982. Some of the first CGI you're going to see, on a regular basis was from this movie. So it's something different. I thought we'd all enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one again.
Oh, I definitely am too.
I am too.
Great. Okay, everybody. Well, if you guys all want to follow us I'm going to put the ticker up here at the bottom. Okay, we are at these Sci-Fi Guys on Twitter. You can email us at these sci-fi guys at gmail.com. And we hope to hear from you guys too. We always are enjoying for feedback, positive, negative, what have you. But we appreciate you guys listening, and we thank you very much for taking the time to be with us. And you guys have a great day.